Hey, my name is Dakota Soifer. We're here in my kitchen at Cafe Aion in Boulder, getting ready to make some paella. One of my favorite dishes to make around the holidays, the perfect thing for sharing with friends and family, and is pretty easy to make. So let's get into it. First up, we have a carbon steel paella pan. Pretty shallow, very thin metal, and is great for developing the sucra, which is the caramelized crust of the rice and sort of the prized part of a paella, the sign of a true paella maker. I'm going to start by heating up some olive oil. First thing, we're going to sear off our chicken and sausages. I like to use dark meat and a nice spicy sausage, a Spanish chorizo or Portuguese linguiça works great. Lay the chicken in. As well as the sausage. We're just going to let these sit, get a nice golden sear on each side. After that, we'll add in our onions, our garlic, tomatoes, and saffron. While our chicken and sausage is searing, I'm going to go ahead and slice up the onion and garlic. I like to use a red onion, but yellow would be fine if that's all you have. Because everything's going to be cooking in the rice and stock for about 25-30 minutes, there's no need to get overly concerned with slicing things thinly, as they will have time to cook down and through. Giving a nice sear on our sausage and chicken. Getting that nice dark golden brown. Sort of letting them wiggle in to find a spot against the pan. Giving these a stir every now and then to avoid onions and garlic from burning. To soften up and the garlic is starting to toast, I'm going to go ahead and add our rice. We use La Bomba rice from Valencia in Spain. This kind of rice are very similar to usually be found at a Whole Foods or specialty market. I'm going to stir that in just to let the rice toast lightly in those fragrant oils. Add in some nice canned tomatoes. I like to give them a little crush as they're going into the pan just to aid in the breaking down. And go ahead and add in that juice. Our pinch of saffron is going to go in now, as well as a nice pinch of salt to get things started. Give it a little bit of a stir and shake to get that rice coated in the saffron and tomato and everything. And then this is the last of the movement. For the rest of the time, we're just going to let the paella cook and slowly build up that caramelized layer of rice on the bottom, the sucra. Add in a nice splash of wine. So our wine has cooked down at this point, and it's time to start ladling in the stock. A good rule of thumb is the bomba rice will absorb about 3 times its volume in liquid. So if we're using just under a cup of rice, we'll end up using about 3 cups of liquid. I would keep a little more on hand just in case it takes it, but that'll give you a good estimate of what needs to happen. So we're just going to wait for the liquid to come up to a simmer, adjust our heat. So it's not boiling, but we do still want there to be some bubbling around the edges, and let the rice do its thing. So as the stock continues to cook down and be absorbed by the rice, just want to keep an eye on it and be ladling it in. Though you can't smell it now, when the caramelization on the bottom of the pan starts to happen, you can smell that caramelization in the air. And that's a great signal to myself that it is time to put in some more stock. While the paella is doing its thing, it's a great time to go ahead and get your garnishes ready for finishing the paella when it gets to be that time. Got a Fresno chili, just gonna take the seeds out and give it a fine dice. And go ahead and slice our lemon as well. Rice is starting to plump up a little bit, getting a little bit of glistening. Some of the starches are starting to come out. That is all a good sign. It's always a good idea while it's cooking to give it a little taste to see how you're doing seasoning wise. Though the rice isn't done, I can tell that it will need a little more salt, and it's great to add that in before you get to the end so it really has time to be absorbed by the rice. The rice, a final taste. Tasting great. At this point, it's just al dente. We're going to add in the mussels. It's going to continue cooking for another 3 or 4 minutes, and at that point it should be just cooked through and where we want it. You can see the rice is really starting to plump up, absorb a lot of the color, flavor, spices. Each side, which is this bottom corner, set down. This way the mussels will be able to open up, release a little bit of their juice into our paella for an extra flavor. And so we're just using our intuition now to try and time the amount it will take for the mussels to open and for that last bit of stock to be absorbed into a paella. So we end up with open mussels, cooked paella rice, and no extra stock, making it soupy. Great, so all of our mussels have opened, our liquid has been absorbed. I can see some of that beautiful sucra formed around the edges and will extend underneath along the base of the pan. So now it's time to go ahead and finish. Top off with the fresh chopped chilies. Our parsley. A nice drizzle of good olive oil. And I'm going to go ahead and throw a few wedges of lemons on there for people to squeeze. The great thing about paella is it's already in the dish. You're going to serve it in